The red and blue lights rippled across the calm water as I tied the last cleat hitch on my boat. The rope felt rough against my palms, still damp from the sea. I looked up when I heard boots pounding steadily down the dock, their rhythm echoing to the quiet marina. 2 police officers approached, silhouettes sharp against the flashing glow of the patrol car. The taller one, a square-jawed man with firm stance, cleared his throat before speaking in that practiced, steady tone only seasoned cops have. "Sir, we received a report of unauthorized docking." For a moment, I didn't answer. I knew exactly who had made the call. I turned my head slightly and spotted her. Platinum blonde hair, arms crossed tight, chin lifted like she was posing for a portrait of authority she never earned. Patricia Hendress, though everyone here just called her Karen, stood at the shoreline with a triumphant smirk stretched across her face. She looked like she was savoring every second of this moment, convinced she finally caught me breaking one of her beloved HOA rules. If only she knew. I wasn't the one on the losing side tonight. She was. Officer Martinez stepped closer. "We'll need to verify your authorization for this vessel," he said. I almost laughed. My authorization? On my own slip? On my own marina? But instead, I nodded politely. "Sure, officer. Let's talk about that." His partner, Officer Blake, watched me carefully, trying to size me up. Meanwhile, Karen stood like a guard dog who'd finally been let off the leash. She mouthed something at me. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. I'd seen that expression too many times these last few months. The look of someone who believed rules existed for everyone but herself. Someone who thought power meant volume and authority meant pettiness. But before I could respond to the officers, I realized I needed to rewind. A lot had happened to bring us to this moment, and none of it started on this night. 3 months earlier, I bought a waterfront property in the Sunset Shore subdivision. The moment I saw it, I knew it was something special. The house stood proud at the shoreline, with wide windows that opened to a view of the endless water. Sunsets here didn't just set, they performed. Shades of fiery orange and deep purple blended across the horizon, like the sky itself was painting for the ocean. The craftsman-style architecture felt timeless. Strong lines, warm woods, a perfect balance of elegance and comfort. It felt peaceful. It felt like home. But the real treasure wasn't the house. It was the hidden bonus that came with it, one the previous owner had kept quiet, perhaps intentionally. When I was signing the paperwork, the estate attorney cleared his throat and told me something extraordinary. I was the inheritor of a 51% ownership stake in the Sunset Shores Marina. At first, I thought he was joking. Who buys a house and accidentally becomes a majority owner of a marina next door? But the attorney explained. The marina was built decades ago by a man named Frank Morrison, a stubborn old soul with a soft spot for the sea. He'd watched the community grow around his dock, weathering hurricanes, development booms, and more HOA meetings than any sane man should have to endure. Through it all, he'd kept majority control of the marina. When he'd pass, his estate wanted property go to someone who appreciated both the house and the history. And I was that someone. To be honest, it felt too good to be true. But the paperwork was legitimate. I read it 3 times. I signed the documents, and the attorney congratulated me. I now own 51% of the Sunset Shores Marina. That meant the HOA had zero authority over it. Zero. The rest of the neighborhood didn't know that yet. And I didn't think much about it at the time. That would change quickly. That was when Karen entered the picture. Patricia Hendress had been the self-appointed queen of Sunset Shores for 7 long, unbearable years. She ran the HOA like a tiny kingdom, enforcing every petty regulation she could find, sometimes ones that didn't even exist. If a mailbox was slightly tilted, she sent notices. If your lawn grew an inch above regulation, she fined you. She enforced her rules with pastel stationery and an iron fist. The community feared her, not because she had real power, but because she had persistence. She wore you down with emails, threats, and endless HOA complaints until you complied. The first time I met her, she approached me in my driveway as if she had been waiting just for that moment. She looked me up and down like she already disliked me. "You're the new owner," she said, not as a question, but challenge. "Yes," I replied with a friendly smile. Just moved in. Her eyes scanned past me toward the marina. I assume you're familiar with our HOA boating regulations. I raised an eyebrow. I just received the packet. Still reviewing. She pursed her lips. Well, let me make it easy. No parking at the marina without HOA approval. Submit your request before using the docks. Her smugness made me want to laugh, but I kept calm. Actually, I said, I think that won't be necessary. She frowned. Everyone needs approval. I shrugged. We'll see. I walked away, leaving her simmering with confusion and irritation. The truth was simple. The HOA had no jurisdiction over Marina, but she didn't know that yet, and I wasn't in a hurry to educate her. Within days, Karen escalated. She started with warning letters, 3 of them in 1 week. Then she sent emails filled with threats about fines. She even tried to block Marina access by changing the locks on the gates. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about rules. It was about control. If she couldn't dominate the marina, she'd make life miserable until she could. But she had picked the wrong person this time. I made copies of all the documents, my ownership papers, the original deed, the bylaws stating the marina's independence. I kept them ready, knowing I'd need them soon. One afternoon, I was loading supplies onto my boat when I heard Karen's shrill voice shouting from the parking lot. She wasn't alone this time. Her husband, dressed in police uniform, strutted beside her with a hand casually resting on his holster. The intimidation was obvious. You can't park here, she snapped. It's against HOA policy. I didn't bother responding to her. I looked at her husband. Afternoon, officer. He stared back with a look meant to intimidate. My wife tells me you've been violating neighborhood regulations. I smiled calmly. I'm well within my rights. Karen nearly exploded. No, you're not. I've sent notices. That you have, I replied, and I've ignored them because you don't have authority over Marina. Her husband stepped closer, lowering his voice. We can make this easy or difficult. I met his gaze. I suggest you think carefully about where you're standing and who you're threatening. He blinked, confused. Karen grabbed his arm, tugging him back. Let's go. He'll regret this, she hissed. I could have ended it right there, but I wanted to wait for the perfect moment, a moment that would destroy every illusion she clung to. That moment came the night she called 911 on me for docking my own boat at my own marina, and as the officers confronted me, I pulled out the folder I prepared weeks earlier. I handed the documents to Officer Martinez. He skimmed the top page. Then the next. His eyebrows slowly lifted. He looked back at me. You own the marina?